Have you ever dreamt of building your own custom cargo trailer into an awesome, incredible man cave that is beyond anything that anybody could ever dream up? Imagine 2 kilowatts of power and building a crypt area for sleeping where absolutely no sound or light can enter into the area, to have secret subfloors and hidden cubby holes and hidden toilets and washing machines and an incredible surround sound system with a full living room house couch. Well, if you've dreamt of doing those kinds of things, then you will enjoy Michael's AFE build, which Michael is about to show you in this video.
So this is it's a 2017, bought it in late 2016, cargo trailer from Aluminum Trailer Company. I had them custom build and option the features I wanted. They built the shell and then I did everything else. So for the sizing of this trailer, I ended up picking what I considered a medium size. I built versions in my head that were smaller or longer, but this seemed to do everything I wanted without being gargantuan. It is pretty big though. The interior has an 8-foot ceiling height inside. That's been cut down a little bit with some features, but you'll see that. It's a full 8.5 feet wide. And then the total interior length is 24 feet. It's got a V-nose in the front that takes up a little bit of that. Last time I weighed it, it came in at just over 11,000 pounds. And it fluctuates a little bit whether or not the water tank is full, but it's somewhere around 11 or 11.5, which is within its axle rating. I think it maxes out at 13 something. So back in the back of the trailer, we can see this hideous thing sticking off the back. That's my split AC unit. So kind of like you have in a regular house where part of it's inside and part of it's outside, this is the outside part, and it can very efficiently cool the place. I don't use the heat off of this thing anymore because in the winter it's hard to get enough solar, and it was having some error code issues anyway, so I just use it for air conditioning. On top of the air conditioner, way up there, is the WeBoost trucker antenna. So I leave that on all the time. I've got the inside antenna buried in there, and that's wonderful for ping times and upload speeds. Solar, which you can see just a little bit of it there, I needed to build a giant solar array for this rig because I wanted it to be all electric. So with the way the vents and everything were laid out, trying to fit the panels on the roof just didn't work right. So I built a custom rack and raised everything up, I think it was 10 or 10.5 inches. And so the solar spans almost the entire length of the rig, almost as wide as the rig. And there's 2,130 watts up there. Let me show you the inside. This is what I call the garage, and gives me lots of storage, lots of room back here for all kinds of stuff. So I have, first off, 125 gallon water tank. If you're wondering how long that lasts me, if it's just me in the rig, I can go about a month. Showering, every couple of days, that kind of thing. There's a shelf here with just a bunch of storage. Another shelf that you get at from the inside. It has dry foods, dry goods, and clothes and other storage up there. Miscellaneous tools. I added an extra fridge back here, which it's not running right now, but sometimes when my girlfriend and I are both trying to live in here, we need the extra fridge space. So I can plug that in and run that. And then I want to pull out a bunch of this stuff so we can see the electric back there, because I spent a lot of time on that. So we pulled out all the tools and the extra fridge and all that kind of stuff so we can see the fun electric. So when I was building this, I was looking at the cost of batteries, and I knew that I needed to have a huge battery bank for what I was trying to do. The pre-built solutions like Battleborn, they're really nice that they're all protected and everything, but the cost was just too high for me. So I ended up building my own lithium cell bank. There's 16 individual cells here. Each cell is 200 amp hours. So when you wire it up in series, you're still at 200 amp hours, but you increase your voltage. So I have a 48 volt system right now at 200 amp hours, which if you look at that on a 12 volt system, times 4, it would be 800 amp hours at 12 volt equivalent. So moving over a little bit to the solar charge controller, I had just over 2 kilowatts on the roof, and I've got those wired up in series parallel, so there's 3 lines coming in, 3 positives, 3 negatives, and these are pretty thin cables, but because they're wired up in such a way that they're sending 60 to 80 volts down, if you run all the DC calculators, this 10 gauge wiring is more than sufficient for what I need. So I just combine them all together, use something a little thicker coming out, don't remember what that is. It all comes into a solar charge controller. This is the Outback 60 amp model, which I'm not even using 60 amps because the voltage is so high. And goes off to the bus bars and the batteries, and this thing has been fantastic. 0 problems after a year and a half, and it's solid. So back to the water tank. To fill the water tank, this thing unscrews and you stick a hose in. There's no like city water fill hookup. You just stick a hose in, fill it, and you can just watch as it goes up. So that's really simple. On the output side here, they have this giant like 3-inch output or something, which of course I reduced down. I've got the main line going off to my water pump to the rest of the rig, and I just built in a T for another valve that if I want to add something later, like an exterior spigot to fill up other people's rigs or something in the future, I can do that. If you're wondering about the weight on this, since water weighs about 8.5 pounds per gallon, we'll check my math here, but it's around 900 pounds or so when it's fully filled up. And when I have this water tank full and my holding tank's empty, my tongue weight is at about 12 to 13%, which on a bumper pull trailer you're supposed to be at 10 to 15%, so I figure, great, it's perfect. So up around at the front of the rig, one of the interesting features is I built in windows into the V-nose. You can't see it yet, but I'll open that up. And I wanted to protect the windows, so I had the company design these metal coverings that extend up almost like an awning, so I'll show you that. We're on a little bit of a low ground, so I'm going to just open it up. I have to stand on my stool. That's pretty cool looking when they're open. We're looking at a couple of the utilities. I built this rig to be truly 4-season. So we see the sewer dump here, and there's one dump valve. Inside I have the actual dump valves for the gray and the black. So the water stays inside, and this is just kind of a safety valve. So when I go to dump, I'll hook up my pipe, open this up, then go inside and open up the black and then the gray and that kind of thing. But this means water is not at this part here when it's frozen outside, so it's completely 4-season. To go along with that, we're seeing the exhaust pipe for my diesel heater, which has been fantastic. I can go through a little bit of diesel, it heats up the whole rig nicely, runs on 12 volt. And I really wish I had this when I started. It's pretty awesome. To go along with that diesel heater, I threw a jerry can on the front here and plumbed it up to the diesel heater. It's been a few thousand miles on this now, so it may not look the greatest, but it works well. And it's strapped in real good, and it doesn't move much. Manual jack on the front. I'm going to be converting this whole bumper tow system to a gooseneck in January. It's going to be awesome. So this whole area is going to get reconfigured, but it's working for now. I've got the Anderson wheat distribution hitch on there. All I can say is for this size rig, I don't think this is sufficient. That's why I'm going to a gooseneck. So now that we've seen the outside and some of the nice features of the rig, let me bring you inside and show you why it's the awesomest Ford ever. Welcome to the inside. We just came in, and this door has a window, but because I tend to like things on the darker side, I just put a curtain on, and that's been working great. So starting in on the kitchen area, I wanted kind of a medium-sized sink. Now this may be big for most rigs, but works great for me. I could have gotten a little bar sink, but that was too small, and this kind of seemed to be the next size. It's been great. Continuing onwards, I've got various electrical throughout the rig, and any place that's near water, I've got GFCI outlets. And I also thought that it'd be nice to charge a bunch of stuff here, so I've got USB outlets. Behind me here is a window which I've got blackout curtains on, and nice big windows, but once again, most of the time I just leave them closed. Just to the left of the sink, I have a custom cutout here that you can lift up, and then you have access to the washing machine, which I just used yesterday. And to go with the washing machine, I've got a dryer in the back. It's not a combo unit, they're separate. They're kind of apartment sized, and I figured that should fit in the rig a little better. So I have another window back here, and that is on the other side of one of those opening panels, but since I just haven't been using it, I put some hooks up and just hang coats there, and that works better for me. Continuing around, I am standing in the shower right now, and these panels remove, I'll show you that in a second, but I have access to more storage on both sides when it's not a shower, and I also have right down there the 10-gallon water heater, as I like to take nice normal showers. So let me set this up. So now I'm standing in the shower, set up as a shower. Since I built it myself, I can put in the shower head wherever I want, and of course it's removable. I built this height, everything to fit me because it's my rig. And as you can see, these panels are removed. I've got a residential shower pan down here, and I just bought these tracks that you can shape as you want. So these come over and they overlap on top of each other. And I've got a residential 30 by 30 inch shower pan in size, and it's wonderful. The reason this can drop down is because the floor in the kitchen area is actually 10.5 inches up from the floor of the cargo trailer, and that is so I could fit the tanks inside. And so taking advantage of that raised floor, I could sink this shower down a little bit. To get into the subfloor, I use a glass suction thing on the wood laminate floor, and it just sucks right on there, and I can get at this stuff. Then I can get access to the dump valves, which are on the inside because I wanted it to be a true 4-season. Also down here, I've got a sump pump. This is made for the marine industry, and that's so that I can choose to have my shower go directly outside, or I can have it pumped up into the gray tank. Also, I've got a diesel heater down here, as we mentioned, from the outside, and it just sucks in air kind of from this area and then outputs out by the door, and it's wonderful when you're in cold weather. So on the driver's side of the rig, I have another window back there, which I've actually insulated and covered over because once again I wasn't using them, and instead I installed a cabinet, which is great for all the extra stuff you can put in there. I've got a microwave and toaster oven that are both latched onto the wall so they don't go anywhere when I travel, they just sit there. I built in some more storage, that's fun. The real fun is I've got a deep freezer on a slide. So I'm no carpenter, but I did end up doing all of my own woodwork in here. So I built the cabinets and the drawers, and it was important to me to have good sliders on the drawers so they go quite easily. And some of them work better than others because I'm a novice at this. Like this one, it doesn't go in quite as smoothly, you have to push on it. And if you're wondering where the cooktop is, since it's not visible out here, I decided to go with portable induction units. So I've got 2 of them down here. I pull it out, put it anywhere I want on the counter, and if I need 2, just grab another one. And because of that giant inverter in the back, I can easily run both of these, it's not a problem. So these are very efficient, they're lightweight, I can throw them in the drawer when I don't need them, and they've been working great. So next to the freezer, which this is a 12-volt freezer, I have a 120-volt fridge. And that means I have to have my inverter on all the time, but it doesn't really bother me because I have a big enough battery bank and enough solar, it's not an issue. I really like the open the door kind of fridge because you have access to everything easily. Before I had this rig, I had a truck camper, and when the propane fridge died, I put this freezer in it. I set it up as a fridge at the time, but reaching in to get everything every time was really cumbersome after a while. So I really wanted something with a door that opens this way. You can get these in 12-volt versions, but they cost, what, 5 or 6 times as much? And for that kind of money, just throw some more batteries and a little more solar on, and then you have an easy fridge. The indoor portion of the mini split is here, and it just has pipes that run off in that direction. And I've got a little remote that I can use to set it to whatever temperature I want. It's got a drain going off that way. And for air conditioning, it works well. This particular mini split unit runs directly on my 48-volt battery. It does not go through the inverter. However, I would not recommend this particular model to anyone because I have had some trouble with it over the years. It is very efficient though. At its maximum setting, it uses about 1200 watts, but often it's down at 600 or 300 or something watts. It runs very efficiently. It's got variable stages it can use. So after it cools off the rig, which it does very quickly, then it'll scale down, use very little power, and just keep it comfortable in here. Moving on, this panel raises, and that's where I put the toilet. Because I thought I'd be a bachelor forever. That's kind of how my life was going. Then I build this rig and I get a girlfriend, so there's that. But she's got her own rig. So I put in a nomadic toilet. It's a regular gravity flush toilet into a black tank. That was just my choice. Everyone's got their own toilet choices. Also up here, I wired in a control panel. So we can see what's going on with the inverter and the solar, the Victron battery monitor, the sea level, tanks. Well, I just dumped and filled, so the tanks are both empty. And I also have the controls for the diesel heater. So it's all kind of in one spot. I put all the light switches for the rig right by the door. And so these are all the 12-volt switches, and I've got them set up in different zones so that I can turn on or off different zones. So you can probably see lights changing in the camera. And the whole thing is on a dimmer. So it's probably getting real dark in here, and then back up to light. And I can shut off the whole system. And I wanted those right near the door so I could come in or out and hit the switches easily. Up here, I also have residential switches for some 120-volt lights. So a lot of people ask, where's the bed? Where do you sleep? Do you have the sofa fold out or anything like that? And no, I have what's called the Crypt. I love the Crypt because I wanted a space that was soundproof and lightproof. And I came pretty close on those points. It has 3 different layers of sound insulation, and it cuts out most frequencies real nice. I like to have a real quiet sleeping environment. And a lot of people, when they see this, well, there's about 50-50. Some think, oh my god, that's horrible, I'd be claustrophobic. Other people say, that's cool, can I go in and see? So let's show you what it looks like. I just move the stairs out of the way. They're pretty light. And then this just folds down. And inside of there, I have a residential queen-size bed, and it has a couple inches all the way around to spare. I also have ventilation that comes in and out of it 24/7. And so sometimes I leave the door open, sometimes I leave it closed, and I really enjoy the Crypt. It's a better sleeping experience for me because it's quiet and secure. So normally I'm not crawling into the Crypt wearing jeans and long sleeve shirts, but I'll show you how I get in. Yep, there's the jeans. So now that I'm inside, when I was building the Crypt, that's where it really felt like a fort-like experience. And I just felt like a little kid in here. It's like the awesomest fort ever. And that's where the name came from. Welcome to the Loft. The Loft is my recharge space. It's where I can go and watch a little TV, or if I want, I can have a whole bunch of friends over, which I've done many occasions. I think I have multiple photos where I have like 8 people on this couch. The couch was made by Home Reserve, I think that's the name, and you can pick which sections you want, and it's a real couch. It's not just like an RV sofa that's 3 inches thick or something, so it's really comfortable. And to me, that's the difference between living in a part-time rig that you do on the weekends versus living in something full-time. I wanted a real couch, and that's very important to me, so I made it happen. I also have a coffee table that's been with me for 20 years. It's slightly too big for the space, but I had it. It was free because I'd had it forever, and I like it. The colors work well with the rest of the rig. I kind of went a little overboard on the TV. I'll give you that, but it is nice to have, and I really enjoy a good sound system. So I've got full surround sound with a subwoofer, and movies in here are wonderful because you can sit right in the middle, have a big screen TV with great sound, and that's just a great experience. And if I didn't have that, I would really miss it. So since this is, like I said, my full-time rig, I wanted to have all the creature comforts of home.
Thank you, Michael, so much for the tour of the most awesomest fort ever. This is just incredible. I love what you've done with 2,000 watts of solar, the Crypt, and your ingenious design for the subfloor, all the hidey holes, all the cool stuff there. Thank you so much for the tour and letting us see inside your home. Now, I understand you're starting a new business and endeavor. You mentioned briefly about solar and electric.
I've created AFE solutions. I found that every time I pulled out my electrical toolkit, it makes me happy. So I've been doing so many of these solar installs for people. I'm like, let's make a business out of this. So I'm happy to be offering that now.
If you want to get in contact with Michael, take a look at the description below. We'll have contact links there so that you can get in touch with him. Thank you so much for watching this tour today. Savor the moment, and we'll see you in a future video tour.